Our next guest comes straight from the Sunday political talk shows to join us right here on the AIPAC Policy Conference stage. You all know him well, Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator Graham is one of the leading voices in foreign policy. He's a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Lindsey Graham. Thank you, Senator Graham. It's so good to see you. Well, Senator, they just ran through my intro of you, but of course I don't need to remind these good people here today how diligently you have fought and represented the interest of the U.S.-Israel relationship.
It's been a labor of love. It's been fun. Yeah. How you doing, everybody? Hey.
Absolutely. Now, Senator, you're blessed to have just returned from Israel.
Yeah, I was on the goal line about 10 days ago.
Absolutely. And during that trip,
has anything changed since I got back?
I heard a rumor. You saw the Syrian border, and you actually were able to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
Based off what you've just seen, where do you categorize Israel's security situation in this moment?
Okay, well, hey, everybody, by the way. Thanks for having me. It's always tough in Israel. You're in a bad neighborhood.
Very bad. 3
threats, really. The international community marginalizing the Jewish state. That's called BDS, the International Criminal Court, going after the IDF for defending the state of Israel. That's one threat, right? The United Nations. Nikki, didn't she do a good job? So in South Carolina, we figured this out a long time ago. So you got international actions against the state of Israel through the International Criminal Court, again, through the boycott movement. So this is where we need to stand tall for Israel in Congress, and the president's done a terrific job. That's one. Terrorism, Al-Qaeda types, Al-Nusra types, Hezbollah types, terrorists that would love to destroy the state of Israel. Nation states like Iran. You know, I never quite understood how hard it was to figure out the Iran nuclear deal. In South Carolina, if a guy's threatened to cut your throat, don't buy him a knife. So, what did you think he was going to do with the money? I mean, he writes on the side of the missile, "Death to Israel," duh. So getting out of that agreement was good. We're telling the world, pick between the U.S. economy, the Iranian economy. You can't have both until the Ayatollah stops what he's doing. And just having a presence in the Mideast regarding radical Islam, Sunni and Shia, is important for us and Israel. So those are the threats.
All right. Now, last year, Congress was successful in passing the Appropriations bill on time, and it included $500 million in U.S.-Israel missile defense.
That's about the only thing we can agree on.
Right, at least there's that, correct. But then, of course, as we all remember, it was bogged down, and we ended up having the longest shutdown in U.S. history.
Yeah, you noticed that, didn't you?
I seem to recall. Senator, give us a little insight. How's it looking for this year's appropriation?
Well, so have you heard of the MOU? The Memorandum of Understanding. Okay, so that's a good thing. The Obama administration negotiated a 10-year commitment to the state of Israel regarding conventional aid. And before this MOU, missile defense was outside of the MOU. Now it's part of it. And the one thing I'd like to revisit is that the $500 million for missile defense, is that enough in light of what Iran's doing and the growing threat from Hezbollah in Lebanon and now Gaza? So an MOU is an executive agreement. What branch of the government appropriates money? The Congress. So we're not bound by it. To me, it's a floor, not a ceiling. So I hope we can find a way to build a wall. Shutting down the government didn't work for anybody, particularly us, so I don't think that's going to happen again. The president is right to want money for border security. That issue will linger. But yeah, there's somebody lives in Texas, Arizona out there. The bottom line is we're going to reach an agreement this time, this fiscal year, I think, without shutting the government down. But this is important. Now, I want everybody to understand the MOU, in my view, is a floor, not a ceiling. So I'm going to challenge Republicans and Democrats and talk to the president about revisiting the missile defense part, because they're turning these dumb bombs into GPS-guided rockets and missiles. So the threat against Israel from missiles is growing in terms of quality and number. And here's the message I want to send. to the Ayatollah and everybody else. Every time you try to make a move to destroy Israel, we're going to one-up you.
All right. I think we heard that one loud and clear. Now, Senator, you're doing something I find particularly interesting, which is you have an effort around really a kind of trilateral agreement situation between Americans, between Israelis, and also Palestinian entrepreneurs.
Right.
Tell us where that effort stands right now.
Well, I hope it blossoms because the road to peace begins with the road to prosperity. Gaza is just completely failed. I feel terrible for the people in Gaza, but if you want to have a better life in Gaza, kick Hamas out. That's about the only way you're ever going to get it. So, on the West Bank side, anybody who's been to Ramallah in the last 10 years is actually improving. So, this is really a struggle about what to die for and what to live for. The terrorists offer a glorious death. It's up to us to offer a hopeful life. And I think a relationship between the Palestinian business community, the entrepreneurs of Israel, the government of Israel, and the United States and American business people can bear fruit. You just got to make sure the money is sent to the Palestinian people and not to terrorists, and there will be the rub.
Absolutely. I find it, I think it's fascinating. Senator, are you being supported in that effort?
Yeah, I think this is where Democrats and Republicans come together. Chris Coons is a great guy. He's got an initiative to help kind of micro businesses in the Palestinian, the West Bank area, which I think will bear fruit, empower women. You know, the key to all this is giving a mother a voice about her children. In Israel, a mother can have a say about her child's destiny. And that's what makes Israel a vibrant democracy. Can you imagine living in a society where basically moms and women are told to shut up? Not a good place, right? So my hope is to get more and more opportunity for women, starting in the West Bank. Try to convince the Palestinian community as a whole, if you want to pick peace, then you got to pick people who will get you to peace. And if you want to change things, you got to change things. If you're going to hook your wagon up to Hamas, whose goal is to drive Israel in the sea, you're not going to get very far.
Talking about the UN.
The UN, my favorite topic.
Oh, okay. You know, everybody here knows that there is incredible bias, right, when it comes to the UN and their anti-Israel positions. And bias, right?
You don't have to be a great lawyer to figure this one out. They've had 26 resolutions condemning the state of Israel in the last number of years and 11 against the world at large. Really? Of all the things in the world, Israel's the biggest problem?
Right, certainly.
I don't think so.
And it seems some would argue that there's been some progress, but in general, you know, we look at the UN Human Rights Commission and problems persist. Well, we'll say it that way. What do you think next steps that can be taken to help eradicate this tension, this sentiment, this persistent tone, if you will?
We'll give the UN a choice like we're going to give the Palestinians a choice. We're going to give the whole world a choice. If you want to destroy Israel, you want to stand with the Ayatollah, you're not coming here to do business with us. If you want to, through an international organization, single out Israel without anybody else, then you're going to get less money from us, not more money. So 25% of the UN budget comes from you, the American taxpayer. How about tying our money to their actions? And, you know, it's okay to criticize Israel. It's not okay to say that Israel's the biggest problem to mankind. And it's not okay to have a human rights advocacy group that its core is, you know, anti-Israeli. So this is a symptom of a greater problem. There's a lot of things going on throughout the world, just not the United Nations. What's going on in Great Britain bothers me. Does it bother you? What's going on throughout the world, particularly Europe, regarding Israel, you should be on guard. We've seen this movie before, haven't we? Why will it end differently this time? Because of the United States of America. Count me in for never again.
Profound. Very profound. Congratulations are in order, Senator Graham. You are the new chairman of the Africa Subcommittee of the Foreign Relations Committee. Now, since it's
You know how you get that job? You got to outlive everybody else to your right. It's not based on merit, it's just based on sticking around.
Hey, seniority wins the pie sometimes. All right, Israel, though, has made a concerted effort, particularly in recent years, to shore up their relationship with Africa. Tell us a bit about how you think Israel can better strengthen that relationship and really where the opportunities are for what an Africa-Israel relationship can look like.
Well, I'll tell you what I told President Trump. I tell him a lot. Most of it I can't repeat here.
What time is it? Just kidding.
Africa, look at it as a distressed property. With a little bit of paint and fixing up, this place will be wonderful. A lot of nice people over there who pretty much like us. They're struggling to find their way. President Bush, 43, did PEPFAR, which saved a whole generation of young Africans from certain death from AIDS. President Clinton, President Obama did the Power Africa Initiative, Feed the Future. And what I'm trying to get President Trump to understand, you pay now or you pay later. I'm a pretty hawkish guy.
I heard.
I'm pretty hawkish.
Heard that.
But I'll tell you one thing about this war, and it's a religious war, folks. It's between those in the faith, a very small number that would kill everybody in this room because of a twisted view of religion. Most people don't buy that. I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan 54 times in the last 10 years.
Wow.
And I can tell you it's a long way over there. And more people in the faith have died pushing back than the Western world, but every lost soldier is a heartbreaking event. They're not buying what the terrorists are selling. Very few mothers and fathers want to turn their daughters over to ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And they need the capability where they have the will. Takes us to Africa. Where is this war headed? It is headed to Africa. Ungoverned spaces, poverty, extreme climate, extreme ideology, or is a cocktail from hell. The Sahel is about to implode. So I'm trying to come up with an idea called fragile states. Chris Coons and myself have introduced legislation with Elliot Engel and Representative McCall in the House to get the world to pay some attention to the Sahel, to put some money in a pot to improve the economy, power supply, drinking water, better opportunity for mothers and children, pay now or pay later. And Israel, to its credit, understands that the African people can be great friends and allies of the Israeli people. And Bibi and really every other politician has spent time to reach out to Africa. I'm trying to convince President Trump, when it comes to winning this war on terror, you can drop all the bombs you want, you can kill all the terrorists, but they keep coming until you get to the root cause of the problem. For every bomb you drop, a schoolhouse to educate a poor young girl to give her a say about her children will do more damage than any bomb. And that means we have to show up. The Chinese are all over Africa. That means we have to invest in infrastructure because at the end of the day, it could be a continent full of good customers and good friends who reject terrorism. So soft power, ladies and gentlemen, is more important in the war against terror than military power. You gotta have both.
Brilliant insight, Senator Graham. I want to thank you on behalf of everybody here today for your commitment and support, tireless effort to the U.S.-Israel relationship.
And the best is yet to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.